So this is the HOVERAir PROMAX, the latest in self-flying cameras. It does everything that the previous model did, takes off from your hand, flies completely by itself, no remote control needed. It has flight preset modes, it can track and follow you wherever you go. It will then fly back, land on your palm, and fits in your pocket. But there is a big difference because we've gone from 2.7K in the original drone to now having 4K and 8K in the new PROMAX. So are we finally at a stage where these self-flying cameras aren't just for your everyday enthusiast, but something that professionals can carry in their everyday camera bags? Well, that is exactly what we're going to be finding out in this video. Let's see what this thing can do. So everything you just saw was shot on this. This is the HOVERAir PROMAX, and I'd love to know your thoughts so far just based on that opening sequence, because I featured a couple of these drones on this channel before, and as much as you seem to like the technology, let's be honest, up until now the image quality hasn't been great. I see your comments, I hear you, the results are unanimous. You like the idea of these self-flying drones, but the image quality just hasn't been good enough, or certainly not good enough for professionals. But does this drone change all that? Now, full disclosure, HOVERAir did send me this to test out, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to run through its features, push it to its limits, tell you what I like about it, tell you what I don't like about it, and then you can make up your own mind as to whether you think it's any good or not. Now, for those of you that are new to these self-flying cameras, let me quickly bring you up to speed. Okay, so first and foremost, these drones are primarily designed as a compact self-flying camera aimed at content creators, filmmakers, and drone enthusiasts. They're for those that need an easy-to-use, portable tool for aerial shots. They have incredibly good tracking capabilities, and they will fly completely by themselves, so perfect for anyone looking to capture shots solo but don't have anyone to help, which makes them a great option for travel filmmakers, outdoor activities, or any quick aerial filming. Now, as well as having a variety of different flight presets, for example, one of these presets is orbit mode. Just one tap of this button and the drone will take off and orbit around you. You can also fly the drone manually by using your smartphone as a monitor and joystick. But up until now, the image quality of these drones just hasn't been great. But the new PROMAX now introduces some really impressive upgrades, accessories, and features to help you shoot at a more professional level. So let's see how the new PROMAX compares to the original. Upgrades. The PROMAX completely outclasses the X1 by jumping from 2.7K to 4K and even 8K video. This upgrade means sharper footage, richer colors, and the ability to capture much more details, something that is a must for professionals. Flight time. Another big complaint from the original HOVERAir was battery life. Well, they've just increased that by 40%, now giving you 16 minutes of flight time per battery. The original only had 32 gigabytes of internal storage. The Pro now has 64 gigabytes of internal storage and an SD slot that supports up to 1 terabyte. Speed. This thing is faster. The PROMAX can now fly at 42 kilometers per hour at a consistent speed and 60 kilometers per hour at an instantaneous speed. The PROMAX is slightly larger than the original, but at just 192 grams, it stays well below the 250 gram threshold that would require more regulatory restrictions. The original couldn't fly over certain terrains, snow, cliffs, water, but the new PROMAX can. The list goes on. I don't want to bore you with everything. I will put a link to both drones below so you can delve deeper into the comparisons. It is starting to rain here, so let's move on to the next location and start shooting some footage. Now, there are a number of different ways that you can fly this drone, but by far the quickest and easiest way is just to fly it as it is with no remote control. And you can do this by laying it on the palm of your hand like this, selecting one of the 6 flight presets. You can change all of the parameters, the altitude, the distance by using this display. And when you're ready, simply press this button here, and the drone will take off, fly away, and do its thing. This is perfect for those of you that just want to capture shots quickly and easily, but there is a slight downside to this, especially if you're looking to capture professional looking footage, and that is at the moment the drone is in full auto mode, including all of its camera settings, and this can result in footage that looks a little amateur and a little less professional. Take this bird's eye orbit, for example. The camera angle is great, the movement looks good, but the exposure is completely off. My face is overexposed and I look like a ghost. This is because the drone is in control of the camera settings. But luckily, the new Pro Max lets you take full control over your camera settings, and this makes a huge difference to the look of your footage. You can do this by using the HOVERAir app. Simply connect your phone to the drone, and using the Smart Preview feature, you can now dial in all of your camera settings. So I'm shooting in 4K 24 frames per second, so I'm going to set my shutter speed to 1/50. This will give me a nice amount of natural looking motion blur. I'm also going to set my ISO as low as possible, 1 or 200, and this will help me keep a nice clean image. And by having our camera settings locked in like this will help us avoid any nasty shutter speed or exposure changes halfway through our shot. For example, just look at these side-by-side comparisons. The shot on the left is in auto mode, and the shot on the right has the camera settings dialed in and locked. The shot on the left looks cheap and amateur, and the other much more professional. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've had this drone for a few weeks now, and it took me a while to figure this out. At first, I was getting a pretty nasty looking image, and it's a bit like any filmmaking tool. If you don't know how to use it, you're not going to get the best out of it. At first, I thought that you couldn't lock in your camera settings when using the flight presets, and if that was the case, that would have been a serious downside to a drone that's supposed to be for professionals. But fortunately, you can lock in your camera settings, which is essential for getting the best quality footage. Being able to control things like exposure and shutter speed make a huge difference to the final result. Now, another concern that I had with this drone was being able to use it on sunny days and still being able to adjust my camera settings correctly. But luckily, the Pro Max now does offer ND filters, which are essential for anyone who wants to get the best results. For example, on a bright day like today, I can now simply attach one of these filters to reduce the light entering the camera. And this helps me follow the 180-degree shutter rule, which means setting my shutter speed to double my frame rate for smoother, more cinematic footage. So we now have a self-flying pocket-sized drone with manual camera settings and 6 flight presets. We've got follow mode, orbit mode, hover, bird's eye, zoom out, and dolly. Now, all of these presets are customizable. You can change the distance, the altitude, and you can dial in and lock your camera settings. So we now truly have something that is game-changing when it comes to quick, professional-looking aerial shots. But look, what do you say we test out the tracking features of this drone? I want to see just how fast and well it can keep up in auto mode. Okay, so I've got myself a mountain bike, a helmet, safety first folks, and we've got the Pro Max. So let's send this thing up and see if it can keep up. Okay, so that was pretty impressive. The drone did a really good job of keeping up. My goal was to outrun that drone. At one point, I was absolutely hooning it. Now, although I did manage to outrun the drone, I don't think it was because I was going too fast. I actually turned a corner, so I think the drone just lost its track. I had my phone clamped to the front of the bike, and I was using that as a monitor to check that the drone was still following me and as a way of dialing in all of my camera settings. Now, as well as seeing how well the drone tracked and how fast it tracked, I also wanted to experiment with different altitudes and distances. So some shots I had nice and close, some shots I had far away and high, and they all did a pretty good job of tracking. I noticed the further away the drone is, the easier it finds to track you, particularly when it's tracking you from the front. When it's set to close, unless you're going in a dead straight line, it tends to sort of swing around to the left or right and then start tracking you from behind. Now, one accessory that I didn't have with me today, which I wish I did, is something called the beacon. Now, the beacon is an additional tracker. So let's say the drone loses its track, like what just happened with me, the drone would then know to track the beacon. This would come in particularly useful if you were in a crowded place so that the drone could identify you that it needs to track, or in that situation where I was going too fast, I went around a corner, the drone lost its track, it would then start to track the beacon. Now, price-wise, you can get this drone in the standard package for $699. There's the basic combo with drone, battery, charger, and case. Then there's the cycling combo, the ski combo. I went for the full works and got the ski combo, which came with the drone, 2 batteries, beacon, the joystick, bag, clips, and more. But I will link everything and all the packages in the description below. Now, as well as the drone having a range of flight presets, you can also take full manual control of the drone by using your smartphone. You can, of course, dial in all of your camera settings, and this is great for capturing scenic shots, landscapes, or capturing shots of yourself that you're not able to capture using one of the flight presets. For example, a flyby. For this shot, I'm simply holding my smartphone and pushing the joystick forward whilst I walk to have the camera fly by me. This works well for walking shots or shots where you're stood still admiring an epic location. Lots of ways that you can use this feature to help raise the production value of your films and videos. Also, did I mention that this drone not only shoots in landscape but also portrait? So if you're someone that shoots a lot of vertical video, then this will come in incredibly useful, because without this feature, your only option is to shoot in landscape mode and then crop that image to make it vertical, which usually messes up your framing and composition and reduces the quality of the image. But by shooting vertically, you can now take full advantage of the maximum resolution. So I've just been trying to fly this drone through a car window and it wasn't particularly successful. Off he goes. Alrighty. Oh! Not good, not good, not good! Oh. Collision detected, yeah, my face.
The surrounding environment and avoid obstacles.
Noted. Now, I recently attempted this exact same shot using the DJI Neo, but I didn't end up including it in the video because there was this really nasty exposure change as it flew through the car. So I thought I'd try that exact same shot again, only this time using the PROMAX with the camera settings locked in. And although I did lock my ISO and shutter speed, as you can see from this footage, there's a slight change as it flies through the car, some kind of an exposure change, just a frame or two. It's these little changes in your shots that can make the difference between them looking amateur and professional. So as with every product, it's definitely not perfect. So let's talk about the cons. Okay, so before I can answer the question, is this drone for professionals? First, I think it's important to identify some of the downsides, limitations, and cons of this drone. And after flying it for a few weeks, I feel like I've got to know it pretty well. And as a professional videographer, here are the 3 things that I struggled with most. Number 1, battery life. Yes, the battery life has improved compared to the original, but it's still not enough. The package that I got came with 2 batteries, and although they say 16 minutes flight time, this is maximum flight time in optimal conditions. Wind speed, what resolution you shoot in, all of this will impact your battery life. There was not a single shoot that I went on where 2 batteries was enough. I would say you need a minimum of 4 to 6 batteries depending on how long you plan to shoot. This is a really fun drone to shoot with, so when you have it, you want to use it, and there's nothing more frustrating than having a drone that you can't fly. Yes, if the first battery dies, you can start to use your second, but your first won't be charged by the time your second is used up, so then you're left with nothing. 2 batteries might be enough for those of you that are just looking to capture the odd shot here and there, but if you're a professional looking to shoot for any decent amount of time, I would say get at least 4 batteries. Okay, number 2, white balance. You can now lock your ISO and shutter speed, but currently there's no option to lock your white balance, and if you want professional looking footage, this is a must. I did email HOVERAir about this, and they say that this is planned for a future update, so fingers crossed. Also, another thing that I noticed is that ordinarily 99% of the time you hold your hand out, the drone will come and land on the palm of your hand. But occasionally, and I found this happened mostly when the drone was in follow mode and high up, I would hold my hand out and the drone just wouldn't come back down to land. So I'd have to jump up and pull it out of the sky. Now, I did get sent an earlier version of this drone, which is probably why, but do be prepared to jump and grab if needed. So, is this drone for professionals? Well, yes and no. Let me explain. If you're a professional drone operator that does this day in, day out, working on high-end commercials, looking for a drone that flies thousands of feet in the air with the best image quality possible, then this definitely is not the drone for you. There are plenty of other options out there that would be more suited to your needs. But if you're a professional content creator, maybe you run a small video production business and need to capture shots quickly and easily with zero flying experience, then this would be a great option. If you're a professional videographer that needs to capture shots of yourself but don't have anyone to help, this would be a really great option. If you're a professional that prioritizes speed, convenience, a small compact size and ease of use, this would be a really great option. After testing out a few of these self-flying drones, I can honestly say that this is the best one yet. Yes, it costs more, but it has more features and better image quality. But I would love to know your thoughts. What do you think of the HOVERAir Pro Max? Do let me know in the comments section below. I will link this drone along with all the different packages available in the video description. And if you'd like to see what's possible with these self-flying drones when it comes to shooting a short cinematic sequence, then be sure to check out this video here. But that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.